Get started. Thanks for joining me here. We're going to share today about Patchy Hub, which is for high-level users, for high-level agencies to document anything and everything that's going on in high level. It's the only way I know to document that I'm aware of. I guess you could use spreadsheets or something if you're insane. But thanks, Michael, for joining us. Tell us a little bit about Patchy Hub.
Well, I am insane because for many years, that's exactly how I did it. Like 6 years ago, man.
I set you up
Shoot.
for that. That was intentional. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying, yeah, I'm pretty insane because like 6 years ago, I came up with, helping out agencies. I was onboarding people, and I just realized after like 5 accounts, I no longer remembered what it was. Probably even less than that, but I only realized it was a problem after 5. So
Yeah.
I came up with this crazy idea. Why don't I write things down? And I ended up writing it down. I made the spreadsheet system, documenting assets, what they do, how to set them up, what they're connected to. And I quickly realized that nobody in high level does that. Nobody. Because agencies are more creatives, and then they hire VAs, and then the creative non-process detail people train the VAs to manage it the way they do it. So nobody was actually documenting things. So I made a name for myself documenting, and just because when you actually write things how they down, you can hire people easier. If a project goes south, you can hand it off to the next guy. If you want to collaborate with somebody, you can now work on the same project instead of only one person because you have a shared source of truth. Your account managers know what's actually happening without having to learn high level. And dude, it just kept going from there. And that's all done with a spreadsheet. And then Patchy Hub was taking all those lessons from 5-6 years, solving problems that for the biggest companies in high level to the smallest, and just saying, well, I need an app that I can control, that I can have AI put into, that I can help document for you. But the fundamentals are still there. You need to know how your business runs, what you're trying to do, and you need to write it down out of that little coconut. And yeah, that's been the Patchy Hub story.
Well, let's back it up just from the get-go of your insane tendency to write everything down, which is obviously best practice. Everybody wants to have written it all down. Everybody wants to have, I got all the SOPs ready to go. Of course, we all read them, and of course, we all use them, and we use them for for onboarding.
Do they though?
No, not at all. So everybody ideally would do this. Yeah, I'm sure the benefit is kind of clear, although I think we're going to come up with some benefits that those listening or watching might not know. But the benefit of having write it all down, as you said, to get someone up to speed, to hand off a project, to always know what's going on. If you write it all down, no one's going to write it all down. So this is a different place to write things down. What makes you think agencies are going to go and write it down in this instead of on the spreadsheet?
Do agencies like money? Do they like making money?
Are we basing it off actions, or are we basing it off of
intentions? Yeah, not their actions.
Intention,
based on their actions.
Yeah, with intention. So,
it's a great question, and to me, there's this concept I came up with called minimum viable documentation, because I recognize really quickly that nobody reads SOPs. But we have to know why, because we can't just say because people are lazy. We can't just say because, there's kind of no value. There's more important things to do. It can't just be that. So the reasons what I discovered is I think people can relate to this. Have you ever read documentation? And how many times do you need to see something wrong before you stop trusting it? How many times does someone have to lie to you? Like if I lied to you, how many lies would I have to say until you go, I'm not going to trust anything this Pachito says anymore,
just
right?
Once or twice.
Yeah. Once or twice if you're crazy. And so if that's one of the major fail things, so what we have to do is that's why SOPs fall apart. You make a 30-minute onboarding video, you write this big giant SOP for this workflow, but then you update something in your high-level account. Which one of those 50 different assets you created, or artifacts, as we call them now. Which one of those things is out of date? Which one is right? Are they all saying the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
So minimum viable documentation is figuring out well, what is the source of truth that has to be true no matter what, and that we can build SOPs from that, because your account manager isn't the technical person, right? They're managing the clients. So they need a source of truth to go to, some documentation that they can then go saying, hey, this is how the account is set up currently today, so that they can go and update their own SOPs or the client training videos. And the mechanism to make something true, that source of truth, is a simple thing called document as you go. You touch something in the account, you write it down, you update your documentation. You take 20 seconds to do it. And if you follow this practice, a lot of cool things start happening really quickly. One of them is things get out of your head. Number two, that now that documentation is happening on a daily basis rather than 3 months later at the end of the project, now your managers or your boss type people, they now have accountability because they can see what's happening, so they don't have to micromanage as much. So the time you spend documenting, that is directly made up for the fact you no longer have to have daily meetings, you no longer have to have explanations and all that. The list keeps going on. So if an agency, the thing though is that most people don't buy what I'm saying. They think, oh yeah, I need to document, but that's a future
later me problem. Yeah.
And it's true so that's why I answered you. Do you like money? Because most agencies aren't going to take action until it hits them in the pocketbook. When they have the project that falls apart, when they spend 3 months building something, and then at the end of that project, the person leaves, new guy comes in and goes, I don't know what's going on in this mess. I think we should start over.
Right. Yeah. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to start over.
We don't, but that happens. And agencies think it's not going to happen to them. I have seen hundreds. I worked at support companies that support hundreds, if not 1,000 different agencies. I've been on the calls. I've seen the support tickets. It happens to almost every high-level agency, and nobody talks about it because everyone wants to launch fast, fail fast. But yeah, so and it ends businesses. You don't hear about those people. When an agency builds this thing for their 50 clients, they launch it. They put blood, sweat, and tears into it, right? And all of a sudden, something goes wrong with it, and now they have to bring in a new person and rebuild it all. They go quietly bankrupt. You don't hear those stories, but they happen. I would wager almost every single day. Like churn. Think about how high level they have, like, what is it, 20, 40,000 accounts? They probably have at least 1% churn every month, at least. Why would an agency churn with it? It's because something went horribly wrong. And that's a lot of people going wrong.
So I looked into PatchyHub. I had reached out to you a while ago to get some documentation, some answers in place. I had questions about the HighLevel account that we were operating and looking at for someone. And, you know, there are questions that come at you when you're not ready, but you need an answer now, right? You know, and we'll just expand on some of those use cases. So first of all, you know, let's say so-and-so has a HighLevel account. They're looking to move from their vendor over to us. Why don't you go ahead and take a look in their account and then see what it's going to take for us to rebuild on our side. I have wildly underestimated what that takes by having a good look, you know, looking at it, and I've screenshotted every page. You try to screenshot a workflow, but you really can't. Most of the things we have that browser tool on Chrome that sort of looks like number munchers and try to capture the whole screen as it goes down. Is kind of, I don't know if you've got that one, but you know, some of the screens you can't capture the whole thing. And I've thrown that all into AI and tried to get a good count and a good idea of what's going on there and what it's going to take to rebuild. Wildly underestimated, even still. It took PatchyHub a few minutes of setting up to go into the account, pull everything, every custom field, every workflow, every action, every pipeline, every stage in the pipeline, everything, every little tiny little piece, and list out all of those pieces and categorize all of those pieces. And that's just the beginning step. So for anybody listening who's thinking, I'm not going to go in my HighLevel and then go in some other tool and write it all down, this writes it down initially for you. So you can get your initial, in this case, I was getting a quote. What's it going to take for me to move that? Well, first I need to know what is there to move. And this told me instantly. That's one case scenario. Another one, and the actual reason I had reached out was because we had an account that was needed, that we needed some answers for, right? And it's the what have you done? It's the what have you done question that would come in from a client, right? You went in, you set up HighLevel, they see the ads, they see the promoters of HighLevel going, it's so easy. It's just, there's templates and you click here and you do that. And we set it up in a week and everybody's promoting. Well, it's so easy, simple, click. What have you done? Why did it cost so much money? Well, and go in and see that there's over, 2,000 some different assets that we customize and set up for you across workflows, pages, you name it. And, this is where it all is. This is what it all does. And of course, you can dive in to that documentation deeper. And you're going to show PatchyHub here in just a little while, I assume.
What you just said, if I may, is actually really important. It's easy to make fun of the gurus and the affiliate sellers, right? Because, well, deservedly so, the affiliate industry has a tendency to overpromise the capabilities of stuff when there's no responsibility for them to manage it. But the one thing that they are saying that is true is that it is easy to build things in HighLevel. It's not that hard. And even with AI stuff now, it's getting even easier. The building part is not the problem with HighLevel or running an agency. The problem is 6 months later, sometimes even a couple of weeks later, but 6 months later, 12 months later, is the things that you're building going to actually last, stand the test of time? Or are the things that you built going to just cause you 10 times more problems than the money that they bring in? And so that's the thing. It's like, yes, it is easy to build with templates, push a snapshot out. It's all fantastic. 6 months later, though, the question, don't worry about documentation. Don't worry about planning. Just launch, get things going. But now 6 months later, you got 50 clients. You have piles of messes. Now you got to clean. Who's the one that's cleaning it up? How do you clean it up? How do you know what needs to be cleaned up? So yes, building things is easy, but it's the management part that's the dirty little part that no one likes to talk about.
Yeah, and I would counter argue that building things in the beginning, it's easy to get started.
Yeah.
Well, maybe even there's a little learning curve if you're not used to the platform, but let's assume you are used to the platform. It's easy to get started. All right, well, we need a workflow for that. Open it up, get going. But it is that, couple weeks later, you're doing all kinds of things. You're building out accounts if you're an agency for multiple clients of yours, including your own. And then you get back to it, and then the confusion starts. What was that workflow where we did the thing where did we ever finish that? Did that have and yeah, you get a little bit lost.
Yeah. It's the same thing with everything. And even what's even harder is that there's a lot of people that want to be I'm the visionary. I want to just be the vision. I want someone to build, or I'm the sales guy. I want to hire someone to technically go and do things, and the disconnect always comes back to, right? It is easy. You can hire someone to build you a bunch of stuff. The thing is you don't need to hire people to build things. You need people who manage them, because the building part is, there's a billion people that'll do that, but it's very easy for them to get let go, fired, move on to other projects. But you're the one that's going to be stuck with the clients, with the messy accounts, with the unmanageable situation. So yeah.
Right. Or, other people need to be available. So it's like, well, the guy who built this isn't here right now. I've sent him messages. It's been 3 hours. The client's knocking at my door, wanting an answer. I don't really know because I didn't build it. What can I do?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, we could. I'd love to show all that how that's working. That'd be
Yeah,
totally
bring it
cool
up.
because it is possible. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to show you a brand new thing. This
Okay.
is brand spanking new, and we'll just do a little share a Rooney here. Oh, let's share the right one. Always have 5,000 different apps open. So cool. I'm going to start, and this is the new one this is the more end user facing documentation. So I want to walk you through when we're looking at a HighLevel account, what we want to know is what do we need to know about this account to be able to understand it? So right at the beginning here, the output of this is, we have the name of the HighLevel account. And this is a snapshot that I have. It's a little sample snapshot that I use for just testing things. And I have an explanation of what this HighLevel account does. It's an example snapshot to show people the snapshot management system, my own little product.
That's very Inception right there,
I'm realizing that as I go. It's like, maybe I should just use doctor account or something, like doctor's office. Now in the system, what do we have? We have different functionalities. I call them modules, which is little pieces of the system that are easier to understand. So we have a lead capture system. We have lead magnet delivery. We have a sales calendar in here. There's sales assignment. These are the kind of buckets that all of the workflows and tags and everything is in. You can see in this account, we have just a small 400 assets, workflows, tags, and all that. And we can open it up. Okay, now that we know, all right, what is this sales calendar? What is the definition of this bucket? Bucket definition. I love that. This manages our sales call scheduling, confirmations and reminders, and a self-service rescheduling with round-robin team assignment. That's what this sales calendar's scope is. These are all of the different things that are included in that. So our sales calendar, it sends confirmation emails, SMS messages. We have a 12-hour and 30-minute email and SMS reminder. We have it's about booking 20-minute consultations. And we have all the different kind of workflows and functions and settings that calendar does. Following up so far? Not jumping ahead too quick?
No, I really like the categorization. If you can divide your systems and your company up into those pieces, in some way, I'm kind of thinking about some existing systems that we do have and wondering, I think it's all kind of in one bucket,
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, I'll show you I'll show you in a, let's just go grab the back-end version of it. I could have showed you this screen first. This is my version 1 or the first things I built, right? This is a big giant spreadsheet of all the different assets. We'll get to that.
First thing that I pulled, which still answered a bunch of questions for me, right? How much of it is there, and what's the volume of that? What kind of work did that involve? It still answered questions from me, but yeah, go ahead. I'm just as you're thinking in this bucket, because I haven't seen this part before. Yeah.
So having one bucket, which is your account, you open up an account. It's kind of hard to understand what is it going on. And the best practices is not only do we have a definition of these smaller buckets that we put it in, you can organize your account that way too with folders, right? A lot of people make the mistake of making folders more of like entire kind of like pipeline systems. Like I'm going to put everything related to my onboarding pipeline in one folder, etc. But the problem that happens is that a pipeline spans multiple things like leads, nurturing, sales, the calendars, bookings. Like it's really conceptually dense. Like if you go by calendars. So what I've done, instead of going horizontally across your account, I'm thinking divide it up vertically by functions because those have clear definitions. We're never going to, when I show you this list, yes, it's a little more on the technical side, but you kind of know what lead capture is all about. You know what the lead magnet delivery is all about. These are really clear customer onboarding. live chat notifications. These are clear kind of definitions for how we organize a high-level account. And you already know that this is a good way, relatively good way of doing things, right? So if I just go into my high-level account right here, and I just need to switch one thing off. Didn't plan on going on this one here. But if I just go and pick a random kind of account in here, one of my template snapshots, on the left-hand side, what are we looking at? AI agents, marketing. These are divided up by emails, by snippets, by brand boards, narrow slices that have one set of functionality. So that, and this is often how coding works. Like developers have figured this out decades ago.
Right.
So anywho, going back to it. So we have our account. We know what it is, why it exists. We've divided it up into little modules. We know what each one has a nice defined scope. The AI has done all this part for us. We even now can look, okay, what's in this module? So these are the workflows that are part of this module. This is the sales calendar of the sales calendar module. Go figure. You know, we have the email templates, the pipeline stages that are related to this module. And so now that we have that, we have our documentation organized conceptually. Everything that's part of this, everything you see here, all these assets, these are all part of one set of functionality. So if you find a tag, actually, are there any tags in this one? Yeah, tag. So the sales call confirmed. While it's a pretty descriptive tag, maybe it was just called the SO3 confirmed. What does that tag mean, right? Well, we know in our documentation, it's part of our sales calendar module. I already know what that tag is doing. I don't need, you know, it's really obvious now because I've grouped it by the module, right? So basically, then we can go in and open anything. So let's open this workflow. We can go drill down. This is the workflow, a visual representation of what the workflow is actually doing in HighLevel. I can see.
Very nice.
Yeah.
This is new too. I haven't seen this.
I can see what it's related to. So because this workflow, I know that these tags are here. Look, I got that tag. I can click on that tag and I can go in and start seeing, you know, I can see what does this tag do? This tag marks a contact as opted into the sales subscription list. It's applied by the preference management workflows to control which sales related communications the contact delivers. Very AI written, yes, but I think it's pretty clear that, okay, this tag in the sales module, it's connected to our subscription system, right? So we know.
Yeah. So, sorry to interrupt. So just to frame, because I'm a very visual person. We're all humans, I think, watching this, right? And so we've got AI humanizing this for us. Really, it's a job that you've done in taking the way that we would understand the buckets, right? As you said, be able to look at what's involved there. Curiosity sparks when you're looking, what does that do? What else is that attached to? You're able to drill down and get your answers like that. Because if you were just in HighLevel looking at that and you saw a tag, you'd go, you can't click on it and know anything. You're just gonna go, okay, it added that tag. Let me jot that down on a piece of paper. Let me go over and maybe look in the tags module and look it up and then see what the description was if I happen to write one. And if I did, then maybe I can go, where else is this tag? Oh, I have no idea because I can't search that in HighLevel. So yeah, very, very contextual. If you're getting into diagnose or understand something, you can just drill down is what it's looking like here.
So this is step one. I wanted to start with this because this is what, if I was handing this off to a user, if I built a snapshot for someone, I would give it to them in this way because they need to know this top level context, this high level context. They then need to know what buckets are we working with. And then they need to drill down. But when you're managing, what did we talk about? Solving problems with documentation. This is a very inefficient way to troubleshoot, to actually manage things. So when we work on our accounts, we actually go the other way. And I'm going to show you that. And this is where we get nerdy. Where do we get nerdy? And I'm still sharing my screen, correct? Yes. Cool.
Yep.
So I showed you this more nerdy kind of way of looking at it, more tables and spreadsheety. Now, when it comes to actually managing things, we need the details. As you just said something really important. Hey, I want to be able to look up a tag kind of really important, quickly, right? So if am I in the alt, right? Yeah, so description. Cool. So I'm going to look up the subscription, and there's those tags, those add to subscription tags that we have. We have look, we even have a duplicate in there. And the AI's already figured it. All right, I'm going down too many trails, right? When it comes to editing and managing this context, let's say I was in an account and I saw that there was this tag, and I'm like, hey, what does this tag do? I can come into PatchyHub, I can go into the subscriptions, and I can look it up. Now I can edit it a little bit quicker. This is for actually editing and working day to day. This is what your team does, the person doing it. Whereas what I was showing you before is this is the presentation, right? But when you're actually working every day, what you want to do is seeing, okay, we have these assets. I want to be able to look at, oh, sorry, I'm clicking way too many things. I want to see which other things it's even connected to. And this one is not connected. Ah, that's why. This one's here. And I should, if I go into this one, look, there's that workflow we were in. The preference form submit, update preferences is triggered by this one is all in there. So I could see that workflow that we looked at before, right? So this is a database in the background that shows you not just the descriptions and all of the modules here. You can kind of see here. We got the modules. We got a really simple description there. And we also have all of the links. This one's a fun one. It's got 9 links. So this workflow has these 9 different assets, the custom fields and tags. Those are all the things that are part of it. Actually, I can open it up. Again, there's that fun thing again. So yeah, so we have within here all of those different tags. So working in HighLevel, this is what it kind of looks like. And everything you see here was done by an AI. And I'm a big fan of manually doing things, but to get things started, as you said, let's get an AI that define those connections, document everything for us. And now we have a baseline to work in and update, because the AI, if it doesn't get it, maybe I open up and I go, I don't like this description. Let's add the human layer in and start adding that in.
Amazing way to drill down and see what's connected. Yeah, just writing all of that down manually for the accounts that I was working on, where they've got thousands. You opened one here that had 100, a couple hundred, 400, I think it was, and we've got ones that have thousands of assets in them. So to be able to get that all sorted in minutes is amazing.
Yeah, the biggest account that it's funny, when I first built PatchyHub, the biggest account I've ever seen was like 4,500 assets. I think there was like 300 or 400 workflows in it. It was pretty big. So I tested it for 5,000 assets, thinking the worst I've ever seen. Let's go a little higher. That should be good for a beta test. What do you know? The second person that signed up had like a 6,000 asset account that they uploaded, and things started breaking. So I improved it. And just last month, I had an account that had 10,000 assets in it. It had 2,000 workflows.
Wow.
And I was talking with some insiders at HighLevel the other day. The biggest one they have seen. Do you want to take a guess?
15,000.
Nope.
And we're talking, just to clarify, we're talking single sub account when you say this.
Single sub account, yeah.
Single sub account, not across all of your accounts.
Just one sub account. Yeah. 80,000 assets.
They must have been like a collector of snapshots or something like that.
Collecting snapshots, duplicating things. Every team member is just copy paste every single week. You copy a workflow and all of the that kind of stuff, and you do that for 5 years. Yeah, you end up. Now, 80,000 would be, that's a start over situation. That can't be right. But yeah, so I made it so when you get big, that's the thing. If it's small, here's the other thing. If you're just a solo person building stuff for yourself, you probably don't need that much documentation. You probably can just go. Right? You have less than 100 assets, a couple workflows. Technically, you should document, but like whatever. But if your plan is to scale with HighLevel, bring on a team, to sell to more than 5 or 10 clients and start scaling up, or have 5 or 10 really big clients that all have their own custom scenarios, there's only so much. There's a point where everything that in your head stops becoming a useful speed. I have it all in my head. I can go fast. And it starts becoming a library. I can't action anymore. I don't know what's in my account anymore. I have forgotten more than I can remember of what's happening. This is when it starts to become really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're an agency that's been operating for a number of years, and I know I've had a HighLevel account since 2019 in the early days. And over the years, I mean, you try different things. You might grab a few snapshots from someone. You try things that work and other things that don't work, and you abandon them. And oh, but you're still using the calendar from that one that didn't work, and you just renamed it and did something else with it. And you just got a lot of graveyard stuff sitting around. One of the features I really like in there, where you had the spreadsheet view open and you can go in and depreciate assets. You can say, we don't use this one anymore. We don't use that one anymore. And just, you know, have your VA or something go through and document all of that.
Yeah. There's so many other things that we can do. Like, yeah, on that's the other one, right? So I've even forgotten more than I remember sometimes of things. So
you need to document PatchyHub. No, you are doing that as well. You're providing us documentation all the time.
I am on the back end. I'm actually creating a documentation system for my documentation. Anyway, we're not going down that one. So this is what I call the $1 million check mark. This is one of the things here on the right. You're going to see this check mark here. And if you have a snapshot and you push it out and you have a template in HighLevel, you push it out to 50 accounts, 100 accounts, 5 accounts, whatever, right? And let's say there's a bug in one of the workflows or in something you want to fix or even something you want to improve. You want to add some new cool stuff to it. Awesome. What happens, Chris, I'll ask you this. What happens when you update that in the snapshot and then you push that out to your client accounts? What happens to like that workflow when you push it out to the client accounts?
Things break for all your clients and you get a lot of emails.
Well, why do they break?
Why? Because they've all customized it on their end.
Bingo.
They've changed it. And then you did something assuming it hadn't changed and you broke what they did.
Right. It overwrites. So if you push out a workflow, the client adds their salesperson, assigned user to contact action, and then you push out that workflow again. That is broken, and now you have to go and update it again. So I call this the $1 million check mark because you can imagine with 300, 400, 500 assets in your snapshot, you probably want to know which ones are check marked and which ones are not check marked, which ones are safe. Which workflows can you freely change, update the logic, fix the bugs in it, and push out without breaking anything? And which assets in the are likely to be customized by the client? Like an email template, you're probably going to update that email template, right? So knowing that, documentation is going to save you hundreds of hours, which is going to save you thousands upon thousands of dollars. And depending on your scale, it could even be $1 million, because if you have a 1,000-hour problem, the chances of you scaling to $1 million a year company is probably not going to happen because you're going to be stuck putting out fires and not selling and onboarding more people. So documenting just this simple check mark, having this check mark is going to save you. That's why I call it the $1 million check mark, because you need to document which things can be overwritten and which ones can't. And if you do that, Chris, or fellow listeners, 2 awesome things happen. The first one is, one, you know what you can safely overwrite, right? But the second thing that happens is you get some feedback on, hey, all of these assets, maybe let's imagine all of these were unchecked, right? So we start unchecking some of them. Oh, it's got to update each one there. So if we start updating these guys and uncheck them, right? What happens if they were all unchecked? Well, that would tell me that this is going to be a nightmare to push out. That means we can't touch anything in our snapshot because it's going to overwrite things. So it kind of gives you a nice target to saying, well, wait, could we maybe break this workflow up into the editable parts and then the business logic and then just connect them together? Now we can edit the part that we would likely want to update and fix or change to improve. And the parts that have the templates, we separate that out into a workflow there. So now we can have more of our assets that are checked. Now we have more flexibility. So by documentation isn't just about creating the documentation for someone to read or probably not read. The documentation is how you, the person who's managing the build, as you're building, the documentation is the thing that gives you feedback to know how is my system set up? Is it set up optimally? Where are the opportunities to improve? And that, if I can go on another run-on tangent, is another cool part about PatchyHub is that, cool, we have it all documented. Now we can have an AI that we can ask for
There
things.
you go.
We can have an AI that goes through. There's an AI that will constantly go through your account. I think like at least every hour. And as you update your documentation, it'll tell you if there is conflicts, right? So yes, chatting with it one-on-one is one way of doing it, but we can also have an AI that will come. So if I come into the updates one, so these bugs are bugs that it found on its own. And I don't even know what this account, because it's been a while since I've looked at this one. Hey, yeah, we have newsletter preference categories, but we don't have any workflows for them. That's probably important to know. Funnel configured for live payment processing and likely configured. There's actually a more fun one if I have it in this one. Do I have it? Give me 2 seconds. We'll see if I have it in this one or if it's in another account. No, I don't have it there. Ah, shoot. I'll have to get that one off on the side. But I have an account where what it does is it found a workflow that is linked to a tag. That tag no longer exists. So the AI found that tag, and so that workflow was quietly not firing.
Right.
But you wouldn't know that unless you had it documented.
So you have a bug report where you can identify and be notified of things like that you would have not known until a client comes complaining to you.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, it's because I had a filter on. That's why I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure it was in this account. So yeah, so this PatchyHub thing, it's found all these different bugs and all these different things that it's done. And it's a changelog system as well. So your humans can do it, and I'm even working on an AI that can do some change that will track your changes. But that's a future thing. But yeah, all these bugs that you see here, that there's a draft verification workflow that's not been active. We have pipeline stages that are in a module, but they don't match the tag routers, which is I have a workflow called a tag router, and it's documented to be related to those stages, but the AI can't find that relation. So it's finding all of those technical things that a human on the surface wouldn't really be able to see without drilling down and manually going through everything with like a fine-tooth comb.
Right. And hours, especially non-billable hours, are extremely important to reduce the amount of hours you're spending. I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I want to show off this AI more, right? And I want to see what it can do, how it can talk to. Because if you think of, if you're using your favorite LLM or AI platform, and you want to ask, you throw everything in there, right? Read this email to me. I'm too lazy. You throw everything in there. Your AI, your favorite LLM, cannot see your workflows. It cannot see what you've got going on inside of HighLevel, but this can, and you can ask it questions, and you can drill down, and you can problem solve that much more easily, and you can understand what's going on that much more easily. So I think that's incredibly helpful to be able to query your account using an AI.
Yeah. And AI, that's the big elephant in the room. A lot of people are probably going to be thinking too, well, actually, there's AIs that can read my high-level workflows. There's even AIs out there that can build now. And
Right.
they do really well. And PatchyHub is not trying to solve the simple, because it keeps going. The bottlenecks never disappear. They just get moved somewhere else. And when execution becomes cheap and free, the AIs, let's imagine an AI that has total control of a high-level account, can build unlimited things. Well, what was the original problem we ran into with even just with humans? It's easy to build. It's hard to update. Have you ever had an AI that hallucinated? Have you ever had an AI where you ask it to do a task, it does the task faithfully, but it didn't think about how every single part of the task or connections that could have happened, that task you ask impacts other areas of your life or other parts of your business? Well, that's the same thing with AI in HighLevel, and I've been testing some AI systems. They build really well. They can build really well, but they still run into the problem of how do you understand a 1,000 asset account with JSON files of the workflow, like the metadata of a workflow. It has like 100,000 tokens just in like a couple workflows. Is your AI going to go and build 1 million tokens every time you ask it to do one thing and investigate how the whole system works? No. So if you're somebody who's building with AI and you're building at scale, then PatchyHub is there to help your AI build faster and safer and not just build a bigger mess. So
Right.
humans, they at least had to spend a couple hours building a mess. And after like a week, you could see the mess building. With an AI, it can build a mess just like that. So,
Yeah, someone one of those cliche sayings, to err is human, but to really mess up, you need a computer. Well, now with AI, that just amplifies it so much. So that makes sense, though, because this documentation is not only providing human context, but also it's not as easy for an AI to understand the context as you just described, especially with token limitations and readability and all that, to understand what it's doing in the future. I can kind of relate, it's just one who's dabbling in that kind of stuff and building websites and things like, you get to a point where your website build is at a certain level of complication. Then you go back and you're like, well, actually, I do want this to be seen by search engines. And it goes, oh, we're going to need to rebuild the whole thing. Sorry, and so it gets to a point where it's like, understanding the original intent and structure and architecture and documentation is useful for the AI, not just for the human layer.
Yeah, and that's what you always need to ask when you're in operations is, what is the failure point? Because we can't solve every problem on the planet, right? There's too many problems. We can't be perfectionists about things. So for me in documenting, the question I'm always asking is, what is the thing that ends agencies? Not the things that cause problems. Not just, that's part of it. Not just the things that are annoying about running an agency, but I'm asking the question of what ends them. And it's usually not like a lack of sales that ends them. What usually ends agencies in HighLevel is when they take on something that's bigger than they're able to handle, and then the fires that they pull out pull them away from sales. So yes, it is a sales problem. I guess you could, if you just sold 1,000 clients, pulled in $1 million, that would solve a lot of your problems, or at least push it off long enough you could solve it.
Right.
But the reason why that you can't just do that is because when the problems start building up to a certain mass, it stops you from being able to sell. It stops you from being able to hire because you don't have bandwidth anymore to teach the person to bring them in to solve your mess. It gets too complicated, and that's where things fall apart. So the documentation is, you could come in and point an AI, copy this video transcript, create a documentation system, make no mistakes. And your AI would build a lot of the things, but it comes down to there's a certain way of doing things where there's certain details that actually matter. And that's really what I want to teach about, talk about, and is that it's those little tiny details that add up to your agency falling apart when not even an AI can untangle 100 angry customers with you.
It's true. I mean, it's the go back to it, those non-billable hours that you spend doing anything else in your agency, whether you're fixing a problem, training someone, investigating a problem, finding answers that you couldn't easily find for clients or for yourself. Those are hours, 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 hours that you're not spending, growing your agency, keeping clients happy. I think there's something else that kills them, kills the agencies too. And that would be, when the client trusts you with something and they have that trust, you're the expert. They want things to work. They want there to not be mistakes. They want there to not be downtime, right? And if you can't provide that because of your system's complexity, then you're going to lose the client, right? So not only are you not spending time on the sales side, but you're losing clients because of the fires that are happening.
That's it, man. That's been my life's kind of purpose. Is it's not. It was funny. I got psychoanalyzed by my Claude a couple months back, and he was just like one of those like kind of little like harmless, like what do you know about me kind of questions. And I wasn't expecting. I still hadn't really.
It's the modern day Facebook quiz, right? What princess are you? You just ask AI.
Yeah, and what it said was, it said you probably went through a really, traumatic, chaotic business, because a person that cares this much about documentation and systems and process would have only been forged by observing the madness that happens, like has actually lived through the experience of like a company falling apart. And I've seen it. I've had my own businesses when I first started that fell apart. I've been part of larger companies that you think they were like top dog in the high level space, and you don't hear about them anymore. Well, why didn't you hear about them? Because things fell apart, and they fell apart with everybody thinking it wouldn't, and that doing the things that I talk about would be a waste of time. And what do you know? When the problems came up, the things that they really wanted were all the things that I said we should have did a year ago. So yeah, when it comes to business, yes, we don't want to be perfectionists, but there is a reality. Like failure is an option. In fact, it's a very present option. And in fact, sometimes failure is inevitable. There is things that happen. It's I don't know if you play a lot of video games or anything, but there's these types of games that are randomly generated. And sometimes the designers of the game go, there are some games that are set up where they're actually unwinnable. There is actually no way out of it. It's impossible to win. But randomly, there's some games that will be really, really easy too. Well, imagine one of those games that's only slightly possible to win. And then you make some decisions at the beginning that make it impossible. And that's what can happen in high level. And that's my big purpose, is trying to make it so people can play winnable games and not play the ones that are unwinnable.
Awesome. And so they can get the platform at
PatchyHub.com. And if you're resonating with this, send me a DM and message, because yes, the tool is going to help you. It's going to save you hundreds of hours. It's really, really important. But if you are feeling like you're in a mess already, or you want to prevent a giant mess happening, you want to hire more people, give me a message on Facebook, Michael Luigi Pacito. And on Facebook, I really love talking with people, making sure that you can hire people, that you have a snapshot that's going to actually be successful, or you're going to have a process or a client that wants to be successful. I can help you plan to make that happen, make it as easy as possible to manage, and help you get onto the Patchy experience. So love to chat with some more people.
That's awesome. And since no one is going to be able to spell your name correctly when they go searching for it, we're going to have links in the description for you to follow and go and get the tools and the help that you need to sort out your high-level agency. Thanks a lot, Michael, for coming on. Glad to see this tool continues to grow and expand and come out with new features all the time that I'm excited to see. So thank you for your time and attention today. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, take care, Chris.